The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the hunt. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway there. Welcome out to the Tradespoon live trading room, stocks and options, closing bell. I am Scott. I am the head trading coach here at Tradespoon. I will be your host and friend. Present, good to see you, Bob. Hello, LK. Wonderful Wednesday to you, Dennis. Woo, it's light today. Our numbers, I sometimes gauge overall conditions based on attendance. And I was making comments during, the worst parts where I'm like, yeah, this is when we should be here. And then all of a sudden, we saw some positivity in the market. Everyone starts coming again. And then things get a little choppy and they disappear. And I think, man, that's when I would want to come, is when it got hardest. If you ever disappear on your own, do it when conditions are stable. When it gets choppy, come on in and let's talk about it, right? That's my thought. If anyone is new, welcome out. Glad to have you. Take some time, introduce yourself, say hello. I've been trading for over 20 years. I've been teaching for nearly 20 years. Just a little bit about me. These are the disclosures. Keep in mind that trading can be risky, options especially. We hope you manage your risk, know what you're doing, have a plan, stick to the plan, and please remember, we are not investment advisors. And that's it. Let me get my keyboard. Okay, so let's talk about it. Stocks rise after worst day since June of 2020. Well, they tried to rise, right? They tried. We haven't really held on, though. You can see at this point, we topped out in the middle of the day. Now we have turned back negative. The S&P is down 0.06. As you look at the Dow, it is down 0.25%. The NASDAQ has stayed positive. It gave back most, but it is still positive 0.25%. The Russell is flat, down 0.02. There it is. What else? A study says small business revenue doubles, but profits are flat. So not real efficient with the revenue and turning it into profit. Excuse me. What else do we have? Biden to announce $900 million for EV infrastructure. So is that what happened with Tesla? Is that what we're deciding? Tesla jumped 3% today. NIO, not really. Well, NIO recovered well after its earnings, didn't it? Anyone trading anything in the EVs right now? Let me know if so. Okay. I guess maybe not. What else do we have? We have, obviously, we'll talk about it here. We'll go to the economic calendar. But we obviously have a looming Fed, right? 4 things investors can control in a chaotic market. Oh, that's interesting. I would say you can control your risk. You can control your mindset, your psychology. I don't think that's what they're talking about. I don't know. Maybe it is. Locus of control. That's what I like to call it. What's next for Putin's energy war? You can see at this point, we just start getting speculative. The next financial crisis may already be brewing, but not where you would expect. and it could be this, and it might be that, and be careful, but not a lot of like, okay, here's what's going on. That's about all we have from that standpoint. As you look at the economic calendar, as I said today, nothing really. We had some producer price index. So yesterday's inflationary data, not great. When you look at the current for PPI, it came in as expected. So no real problem there. Tomorrow we will have, and here's what's interesting, right? Is everything that we're seeing here, we're going to be looking at it with an eye on how it's going to impact what the Fed does, right? Is this giving the Fed license and liberty to cut a full percent? Are we still expecting 3/4? Is there any chance they shock us with a only, and it's interesting when you look back, the verbiage of only 0.5%. I think the consensus right now is still 3/4. I don't think that they're going to, and I think that would actually be helpful. I think it's where we've come to a conclusion that the Fed needs to do it, but we don't want them to be too aggressive and overcorrect. So that puts 0.75 into the sweet spot. I've heard a couple of people prognosticate about a 0.75 point hike this next meeting next week, followed by a 0.5% in November, followed by a 0.25% in December. Okay. I mean, that's another 1.5. We're above where we are. I think we all thought, hey, maybe we've seen the worst of it. And then when we saw those CPI numbers come out, clearly we haven't necessarily seen it at all. Thursday, retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing, industrial production, capacity utilization. Friday, we have consumer sentiment and some additional inflationary expectations. So more of the same. And then as we look forward to next week, obviously, this is the big news here that the Federal Reserve will give a statement. Then Jerome Powell, Jer Bear, as we like to call him, will give a speech. So there's not a lot. Everything that's likely to influence it comes out Thursday and Friday, not much on Monday or Tuesday. So once we get through Thursday and Friday, we'll just kind of coast into that report. And we'll see what it says. Forecast toolbox. The model has turned aggressively bullish. Right now, expecting today to be positive, however, and we know that we're not seeing positive. We're seeing kind of flat and hovering down here. This is strong enough that it could, produce this and then still see this kick up, maybe only back to this point here. But yeah, Stella, the model, sees a potential for fairly strong bullishness, which is interesting. I wouldn't have thought that that's how it, came across. QQQ, same thing. Strong bullishness, although we're not seeing it yet. IWM. More neutrality coming here. And let's look at the DIA. So the model is bullish across the board. When we look at the seasonal charts, the correlation continues to improve. If you remember, I think we dropped at one point. We were a negative 25% correlation. I'm like, how do you go inversely correlated? It's just the exact opposite. But at this point, it's now pushed here. What does that mean? People ask. It means that what we see on the actual market is in line with what we see from this cycle. This is why. This was terrible when we expected it to be good. But if you were to look at this, let's see if I can zoom in on this. Give me a second here. If you were to look just here, well, that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. We went up and down like in here, expecting a big move up, got a big move up, little consolidation, little consolidation. They both went up, they both consolidated, then a little bump, and then a more consolidation. So this is where we find ourselves now. What's likely to happen? Well, from this point, we tend to see it consolidate back down. We're a day ahead of that. So we'll see. But it is interesting. And what I'm looking for is, do we go up and come back down and then find ourselves bottoming at a very favorable time as we look at the month of October? And do we have prospects of actually seeing some bullishness come 3 waves, usually actually 4 waves, to be fair? There's pretty chunky potential if this can come to fruition. Here's today's map. Energy, very strong. Utilities a little bit. Healthcare a little bit. Other than that, there's smatterings. It doesn't look great, right? It doesn't look great right now. So we definitely want to be aware of that. Okay, let's go look at it. Let's get a quiz. Let's see what we're thinking about here. Sorry, let me get this out of the way. And it's getting worse too. It's getting worse at the end of the day, but here's what's hard. We are right at this old support level, right? We're right at it. As of right now, what would my expectation be? I think we're going to test it. I think it's going to get tested maybe tomorrow, and we'll see. Like if we test it and it holds, and we end up with a pattern like this, maybe it opens up and it comes down and then it finishes higher. Well, that would have me think, we might be holding here. What would I do? Well, I've got a number of hedges, a couple of bearish positions that are doing pretty well, and I don't want to give them back if this thing stabilizes. Is there a chance it stabilizes here? Well, let's look at the information. Number one, the selling pressure is dissipating quickly, very quickly. Number two, the model is giving us very favorable projections, right? Those projections are very favorable. This isn't enough for me to want to trade, but certainly if I saw something like that, I would eliminate most of my hedges, and I would definitely look to see if we can, from here rise up, maybe even to this other level here. Because if the sellers try and fail, I'm paying attention to that without a doubt. Okay, but as of right now, you'll notice we're at the lows for the day. We're very close to these. We're definitely going to be testing this as a support level, and I would not be at all surprised to see it test even a little bit lower still, right? So that's my take as far as that goes. Let's get a quiz. We don't really don't have a lot of people here, so I need everybody to answer. We are flirting with the lows. Okay, I know what I'm going to do here. I know what I'm going to do here. If you think it's going to close near the lows, that's where you are. I'm going to split this somewhat in half. I'm going to give it right around here. A, B, C. So we'll call it 393 and change. 393 plus. What would that be exactly? We'll give it about 15 cents. 393 and above, you're an A. 391.65. You're a C. Otherwise, you're right in the middle. Dennis came out quickly. He said he's a B. Brad said, nope, I think it's going to sell off. He's a C. Bob is a B. Someone else whose name didn't come through, sorry, but if you just gave your answer, is a B. LK is a C. I am going to join the C's. I'm going to join the C's. I think the buyers are going to try to push. They're going to run out of steam. Sellers are going to close this thing down. I don't think it's going to be a lot of volume, right? I do think that we're slowing down to some extent. That's the way I see it. Speaking of volume, let's take a look. Average is 73 million. We're at 60. We've got 40 minutes left. Yeah, we'll get to average, maybe even a little above. I'll tell you what. Part of my market posture is assessing the volume and who has the conviction. And you'll notice that every time there's a hint of bigger volume, sellers, right? Sellers. This one was a white candle, but it really didn't. That was really more of a break-even day than anything else. Sellers and sellers. Even if we give this to the buyers, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 selling days, 1 buying day. Not good, right? The sellers definitely have more conviction. There's really, it would be hard to argue anything other than that. And we're now threatening this support level down here. So, okay. Let's look at the VIX. Help us out, VIX. Whew. It's interesting because as big as yesterday was, we tested higher than these levels, but we didn't close. We still closed like in this range. That's a hard one, right? Because it's definitely a same high. If this pulls back for a couple of days and turns, and I have another higher low, you know I will without a doubt hedge there. So if we get a slightly bullish day tomorrow, slightly bullish day Monday, start stalling out Tuesday, I got to start thinking that there's still the chance for another big leg down, right? Well, what I want to see to think it's more bullish the way the model thinks. I'd want to see if it does come up like this and then it retraces for like 2 days but doesn't do much. I need that higher low to come in here, right? Much like you saw here to here, or much like you saw here, where it comes down, goes up, and doesn't do much. It does look like we could see a bit of a bullish bounce. We could bounce off support. You may have still some bullish trades open. I wouldn't expect that. So once again, what it does is it puts us in a situation, it puts us in a scenario where we have to decide, do I think there's enough of a potential for a bounce that I'm willing to speculate on it? Do I need balance? If you have mostly bearish trades on right now, you're very negative delta, you might need balance, right? You might need to catch some balance from adding some bearish positions to the overall mix. Excuse me, adding some bullish positions in the overall mix to your portfolio. You might not have much of anything on. You might be overall neutral. I definitely have a number of people I work with who are like, yeah, I'm in cash. Well, if you're only in cash, what you should be thinking is, what's my next signal? What's the next signal that I think is strong enough that it's going to move down. John, welcome, John. Good to see you. John said he's still bearish, getting a bearish shopping list ready. I definitely think we should have a shopping list ready on both sides. Yeah, without a doubt. If we see 2 days up on minimal volume and it starts to die on the vine, yeah, I think another shoe's dropping for sure, right? I definitely would agree with that. Yeah, we're a little bit in no man's land still. There's the one thing I would say, there's definitely no reason for you to be super committed on one side or the other. We just want to be ready to adapt, ready to be water. You can't just be water, right? You can't be like, no, I'm water. You've got to mentally prepare for it. You've got to be thinking, how am I going to adapt? What would I need to do to adapt? Do I need to stop and reverse? Do I need to add positions? What do I need to do in order to make that work? That's definitely a thought that I'd be having. Okay, it's quiet. Give me some feedback as we're going through here. Let's jump into the watch list. Alcoa. So we were like, maybe here, but you can see Alcoa got the lower high, turning a little bit, and now it's really starting to get pummeled. What's the deal with the materials? Is there others? Alcoa is getting just obliterated. 12% down. My goodness. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. Apple tried to turn hard, then it retraced hard, but it's holding this support. If this holds, let's zoom in. Let's say this holds, and then it gives a little doji tomorrow. Hello, doji. And then the day after, it started to turn again. Would I trade this? Yeah, I think I would. And I'd be thinking not necessarily just getting to here, but I think I would think maybe a little higher or even a good deal higher. Because we know that when this moves, it can do very good things, right? So if it convinces us, yeah, I definitely think that there's a potential for a trade there. Short term, just like our last round of bullish trades were short term, but I would say I'm open to it. Balance, I'm curious to hear from everybody else. But I'll tell you right now, balance for me is more bullish. I have more bear on than bull on right now. So give me your sense. What does it look like for you? What would you need for balance? Are you interested in balance, or are you interested in staying primarily directional? And if you answer that you're interested in staying primarily directional, I would like to know which direction you're looking at. And if I get enough people answering, I'll put together an informal composite so that you see what your fellow traders are doing. Bob says waiting, watching, but not necessarily guessing at the direction. And it's definitely more of a guess. I mean, I always tell people speculation is just another fancy word for guessing, right? But there you go. John says fading the rallies, he's more directional to the downside. Not as much swing trading. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. Okay. If you're interested in giving your take so that you can continue to hear other people's, please let me know. Awesome. Okay. ADM. ADM is one I liked. I actually liked it back here. Was it kind of an entry, funky entry, gave 2 days, gave it all back. This is still valid. This is still valid to me. If we stabilize, if we turn up, I'd say, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. Okay. You've gotten stopped out on longs? Yeah. I took half the profit on Deere, stopped out on the rest, was able to squeeze a little out of it. AMD still looks like shite. The chip stocks are no good. That's where some of my short came in on. I think Amazon is holding up. I would still consider Amazon if it holds this support, quite honestly. I think AXP looks actually pretty good. AXP broke its line of consolidation. We need leaders. We need leaders stepping up. It broke the consolidation with good volume. If this is a higher low and it dojies and then turns, that's a go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go on that and think this is going to make the move. Boeing is a no for me. I don't like that as much. Baba, I've told you over and over, the Chinese stocks never did enough for me to show interest, and I'm glad that I didn't. Bank of America. I think Bank of America is close to the same type of pattern as AXP. There's my consolidation. There's my break. Now what does it have to do? It's got to hold the higher low. It can't come all the way back into here. But if it stabilizes and turns, yeah, why not, right? Why not? Bed, Bath, and Beyond. That's interesting, I gotta say. A little lower today, I'd think about a put. The volatility is still off the charts. I mean, it's still over 200%, so maybe not buy a put. Maybe sell like 1 or 2 week credit spread. Sell a 9-10 credit spread. Let's just see what that would look like out of curiosity. Too small of a stock, Bob said. Now, I'm inclined to agree. I usually like $10 or more, but the fact that we watched it come back like this would be maybe like giving it a little bit of leeway. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. How's fall shaping up where you guys are? It's 63 and rainy where I am. I think we're done with that heat wave. Got some rain. I'm super stoked. This is good football weather. It's almost stew weather, right? Almost. BBBY. Vertical. I mean, I would even try something like this. Nope, that's not what I would try. I would try something like a 910. Nah, it's only 20 cents. Yeah, Bob might be right. The options are too expensive to buy, but it's not giving us much by way of the options. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it another little bit, but yeah. 84 and cloudy in Orlando. Oh, Orlando. I'll be back there again, it seems. One more time for soccer in December. I liked December better than July. I'll tell you that right now. Dutch Brothers, yeah, maybe. Caterpillar looks okay. So there's several of these that are giving us this kind of a pattern. I don't know if I've said this recently. I read somewhere that there's only 6 stories in the world of storytelling. Like whatever movie you like, pick a movie, you could characterize it into one of these 6 stories. I always forget what they are. I bring this up so I should remember it. But I believe it's the same with charts. There's only like 3, 4, maybe 6, I don't know, but there's only a few charts at any given time. It's not like there's thousands of stocks and they all show different things on their charts. You're going to see the same thing over and over and over, right? And one of the things we're seeing right now is a breakout, usually with some volume, but it kind of busted out of this line of consolidation. Now it's coming back down. And as long as these things can make higher lows, they're on the table for me. So I would say Caterpillar's on the table for that type of a trade. Dennis said, get together on the 3rd trip. John said the same thing. Maybe he'll come down and maybe we'll look to get some chicken wings and beers. I'm pretty sure my daughter will be staying with her team and I'll be in an Airbnb. I'm not sure if my wife is going to come for the whole thing, or maybe she'll come towards the tail end so we can go hit a couple of amusement parks or something while we're there. Let's keep chatting about it. I'm open to it. Dennis is a local, so maybe he could find. The last time I was there, like there wasn't great restaurants around where I was. I was like, come on, Orlando, you're better than this. You've got to have better food than this. Bob says today is National Cream-Filled Donut Day and National Sober Day. So I'm going to go get some alcohol and cake donuts. I'm not a big fan of the filled ones. COP. So COP was one that we talked about. It definitely gave us the signal we're looking for. That one's moving. That's been my favorite from oil. At this point, this is actually one that I'm in. Anybody in this trade? I'm still thinking we might get there. Even though the stochastics is pinching a little bit, I think that's more a reflection of yesterday. This is where, for me, the Heikin-Ashi can be such a helpful perspective in identifying that there's still some momentum there. So that's one that I'm going to give a little bit longer to. Costco. Oh, Costco, you son of a gun. Falling apart, not a big fan. You can see Costco is not. We've got several stocks that have broken and made higher highs and we're thinking might make a higher low. It doesn't fit that pattern. We also have some that are trying to hold this support level and it doesn't fit that pattern. So for me, Costco's kind of on the outs for the time being. I don't understand. I like Costco. Not right now. DBC. No, I'm not feeling that. We'll look at natural gas by itself, but again, COP is really kind of the best in breed from energy, you know. Boyle, yeah. So Boyle natural gas. We'll look at UNG. Let's take a look at Boyle. So Boyle's a little better. However, the trade already either happened back here. You already got the signal coming off of that, or you're thinking to yourself, it's about to break this, and you would trade that little bit of a consolidation. Either way, it's not a trade now. Walmart and Target are no good either, is what Bob said. Yeah. Oh, see, I don't know. Walmart has a little bit of that, at least the higher low thought process, if it can stabilize. Target kind of similar. I think they both look better than Costco. Boyle is a natural gas ETF, I believe. That's the ultra short. No, that's the ultra, right? Bloomberg ETF for natural gas, I believe. This is a leveraged ETF, so a little bit more aggressive than what I would see on UNG. Volume's a little light, but not terrible. So we'll see. John Deere, Yeah, so John Deere, I got out a half here when it started to separate, stopped out of the other half here, broke even on one, made a little on the other. Great. No harm, no foul. Right? We tried. That was a trade that could have produced 4 or 5 to 1. What did it produce? Very minimal anything. Some people might have made a little more. Some people might have walked away negative. One thing that I'd like to tell people in a market like this especially is make sure you're giving yourself credit for when you took a stab at it and you walked away unscathed. And now here it is again. Is it going to hold? Maybe. I'm starting to think I like Caterpillar better at this point, right? And I fluidly shift between the two of them with no problem. The Dow is right at the old lows. We'll see if it can hang on. Disney is trying to hold on. That's another one of the patterns, right? So one of our patterns is, did it break, come down high or low? Or at the very least, is it trying to hold the same low? If I'm going to go bullish, it's got to be on one of those two that I'm seeing in that regard. Ford, no, it's at new lows. Can't do it. I just don't feel like I want to watch Ford anymore. I haven't traded it. I'm kicking it off the island. FCX. FCX is okay. FXI is no good. Gold. I watch it. I don't trade it. I don't love the way that the precious metals look. IWM is giving us, so you'll notice that DIA was the pattern that's trying to hold the old support, whereas IWM is the pattern that broke and is trying to hold a higher low. Certainly IWM showing a higher lows would be better in trying to make an argument for a bullish move from this point going forward. Jets is trying to hold, right? So there's things that are trying. They're doing their best, doing their very best. Meta, not one of them. Meta is at new lows, not interested. Marvell. Chips, I was looking at chips to the short side, but we'll see. There's a chance that eventually they stop falling. They give a higher low, and certainly if there was an argument to be made for a bullish run, we need technology to participate. If we need technology to participate, we also need Apple in place. Here's what's next. We need Microsoft in place, and it's not. Apple is still okay. Microsoft seems to be taking out these prior lows right here, right? You can see we're a little underneath those. Not great. Apple looks okay. But if we don't have Microsoft and we don't have the chips, if all we have is Apple, that's going to have a hard time putting technology into the equation. And if technology is not in the equation, well, that lessens the chance of a rally. Yeah. Netflix. Oh God, what is going on with Netflix? Is it just going to grind sideways forever? It definitely seems to be grinding sideways now. Neo is strong. I would look at Neo on a pullback. It seems to be, moving pretty well. Nvidia is at lower lows. QQQ is at same lows, trying to hang on. Okay, we'll see what happens there. Starbucks. Oh man, see, Starbucks looks great. It's just not giving us great entries. Back here, it really wasn't convincing yet. By the time you got convinced, it was up here, and then it moved around, and now it's popping again on even bigger volume. Yeah, I like the way Starbucks looks as far as the strength goes. It's just been somewhat of a difficulty in getting the the right entry in order to move forward with a favorable reward to risk ratio. Silver looks way better than gold. If you're going to trade a precious metal, I do like FCX, which has a bunch of copper in it, but I would say silver looks better than gold. I don't know why so much better, but it does. Semiconductors. So the semiconductors ETF is holding. We'll see if it lasts for very long. SPY. Okay. I forgot to look at what the model's prediction was. It's no good. Silver is an industrial metal. Okay. Okay. I mean, I would kind of say maybe it's quasi, right? It's kind of down the middle, but yeah, definitely is used in industrial productions, right? SPY trying to hold flat for the day. It's a gimme day. Tesla. I'm on the fence there. So there you go. There's UNG up 7%. We said if this is a trade, it's a trade back here as it comes off of this level, and it's same thing. It's moving. What day was that? Today is what? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday. I think we did talk about it on Friday. Platinum is all industrial, correct? I'll be honest. Now I'm kind of second guessing myself as to what I would characterize as a precious metal versus what I would characterize as a industrial metal. Yeah, that's a good question. I probably actually should refresh myself. I've always thought of gold, silver, platinum as the precious, but they definitely do have industrial uses. I thought silver was kind of the bubble, and then copper was more of a industrial. Yeah. I need to look that up better. But here it is. This trade looked good. Still looks good. What do we think? Good chance of getting up. Anyone in the UNG? This is one that we've been watching for most of the year, quite honestly. Isn't platinum the catalytic converter metal? Yeah, you're outside of my wheelhouse. I don't know the answer to that. Anybody know the answer to that? Yeah, okay. Yes, okay. From the more knowledgeables, I'm told yes, that's exactly right. So there you go. Love it. Love it. It's gonna be B's or A's. Oh man. I was feeling it. Okay. Visa. I think Visa is viable. You could pick. For a little while, I didn't like Visa as much as I liked AXP. But I do think that right now this is looking viable if it can turn. So I would say Visa, Bank of America, and AXP are the ones I like most there. Apple for holding on. And what was the other one? Caterpillar. I think Apple and Caterpillar will be technology and industrials, the ones I like most there. Jets looks okay out of the consumer. The consumer's tough because it seems to be more travel oriented than it does retail oriented. Let me know if you've observed or think the same, right? That what we're seeing tends to be more hotels and airlines and less, spending money on consumer goods, durable goods. The VIX is, it looks like it's going to be the A's. The VIX is definitely coming down here. XLP is at new lows. That's not very defensive. XLU, so XLP looks less in favor, which eases some defensive concerns, while XLU looks very much still at play and favorable, which certainly carries with it still a defensive connotation. So what does that tell us? Well, we're still kind of in a mixed bag, right? We're still kind of in a mixed bag. As of right now, I'm still holding some bears, but I'm starting to think about scaling out, tightening stops, and possibly putting on some short-term bulls. You see where those short-term bulls are coming from. I think we should have a good idea by Friday morning, right? What we think as far as the next direction is going to go. But I would say XLU is on my list. I would say that I don't like the chips or Microsoft, but I do still think that Apple has the chance to be a leader out of technology. So that's the one I would be going with there. I think financials are starting to show a bit of reversal signs. And so I might go peruse the financial sector to see if there's some more we should add. That's the assignment. The assignment between now and Friday morning's session is to scan a little bit of the financial, and let's also say consumer discretionary. I feel like our watch list is a little underrepresented out of those two sectors. So that's the assignment, is to find me one or two good stocks. If everybody does it, we should be able to add at least 3 or 4 good new candidates from those two areas to the watch list. In the meantime, manage what you have. Be very ready to jump in when you have your signal. Don't wait for a lot of confirmation, because you're not going to get it in this market. And we will see where that takes us. Let's take a look and see who wins the illustrious gold medals. And I believe that, first of all, I believe I should go to the right chart. And if I do, I'll give you a better answer of who won. And the winner is, oh man, nobody. Theoretically, I would say Angelique, but even Angelique has been throwing out more B's lately. So I don't know that she's maintained her perma bull status. Nobody said A, and it's an A. So I guess today's gold medals get pushed to the next time. What sectors? Yeah, so like I said, for me, the sectors that I like definitely are definitely like, the financials starting to show up, industrials starting to show up, maybe consumer discretionary. I don't see a lot out of technology, but we'll see if Apple can lead the way. Whew, all right. Well, it's good to see you guys. XLU, yes, utilities I like as well. Thank you. It's good to see everybody. Stay the course. Keep your plan in place. Keep your risk managed. Know exactly what you're looking for, when you're going to do it. We're going to be fine. And we'll see if this thing is able to create some improvement, or, what happens from here. I will be back on Friday morning. But after Friday morning, we're back to just twice a week. So last week we got every day other than the holiday. This week we got 3 days. Next week we're back down to 2. So I'm sad, but we'll make do. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great Thursday. And I will see you Friday morning. And as always, everybody, happy trading.